believe that peace is a process. And while the talks has been suspended, lives are taken, military offensives are happening in the northern part of Leyte. Last July, we have documented a family massacre by mere suspicion that they were an NPA rebel.
From November 30 up to the present, there is an ongoing war in Sulu, and dozens are already dead, and more casualties are coming in.
With the ongoing war right now, yung po mga peace advocates natin, ang naiipit din po. Its counter-insurgency program and the subsequent militarization in the countryside have brought about rampant human rights violations that has resulted in the deaths of more than 800 people, including the 26 church people.
When the soldiers who are going around Nueva Ecija, this is in Lupao, say that our trial farms are trial farms of the NPA, and this is scaring the community to participate in our experiments.
That even in a situation of armed conflict, we must look at the responsibility of both parties to the situation. So far, it's been, of course, the government that has been the subject, simply because it is one that is tasked, even from the point of view of state responsibility, to deliver human rights standards and maintain, of course, these standards and address them.
Our people, we suffer from a short political memory. We forget. And that's why I am glad that you have put in your agenda drawing the lessons from the martial law period. The importance of human rights, the importance of social justice as the basis for these rights.
It's also clear to us, the tribal communities, that we were not fighting to establish a communist party, as others would like to understand. It was simply because we wanted to resist all these dams, we wanted to question this logging operation, and some wanted to question these mining operations all over parts of Cordillera.
Now, the third principle, I think, is agreement on the theory that ancestral domain does not form part of the public domain. It's when we talk about ancestral domain, we are not talking about territorial rights. I mean, it's not about property ownership, but it is more on political authority over a piece of territory.
The Cordillera struggle remains a struggle for power. And when we say power, it is the establishment of a government entity, a political entity, to do or exercise the functions of government in the region. And that is all about the control of resources, the control of decision making, and everything that affects the lives of the Cordillera people. In that way, I do not see the Cordillera struggle as different from that of Mindanao.
Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung problema ng Ilonggo, Ilocano, Bisaya, Maguindanao, Maranao, Irano, Tanuray, at problema din namin bilang katutubong Tanuray sa municipality ng Ubi. Hopefully, you are working with indigenous people, not because we are poor, we are illiterate, we are disadvantaged, we are misrepresented, but because we have a holistic perspective geared towards genuine peace, peaceful coexistence of the diverse culture, sustainable development, self-determination, and empowerment.
Moral courage. The capacity to say what you believe is true, your values, the honesty with yourself, and the honesty with others to say, this is what I stand for, and no matter what the consequences, this I believe, this I will articulate, and this I will mobilize and pay the price of if necessary. Moral courage.
Especially address this to the Mindanao people. To those of us in the NGO world, we are told that there are no funds, everything is going to Mindanao. And yet when we talk to you in Mindanao, you keep telling us you do not see a single peace dividend. But there are really millions of dollars that are being poured into Mindanao. Maybe the Mindanao people can lead the way. We have not tackled graft and corruption. That is at the root of a lot of our own troubles here.
Hindi lamang korupsyon ng gobyerno, pati na rin yung korupsyon natin. Korupsyon natin ng mga donor agencies, sinasabing milyon-milyon pero wala palang milyon doon.
But the task is for us to build institutions that will be corrupt-free. That is the biggest, to me, that's been worrying me, even if they will sign the agreement tomorrow. But if we cannot put up institutions that is free from corruption, and if we cannot put up institutions that are transparent, that are accountable, and that democratic, then it will be a big problem to all of us.
Let's not look at MILF, MDF, whatever, or Cordillera, but I think the very basic for government is to be cohesive enough so that its institutions are intact and well-oriented on what is the policy that is being handed down. Everybody should know what's going on. Otherwise, we even think that there's conflict going on within the government itself. Not just between judiciary or legislative or executive, but within executive itself. We see, as civilians, we see that there's conflict between groups and operators or whatever. So it is very unfortunate that we are all in this situation.
The Constitution provides that only Congress can come up with an organic act to be ratified by the people. And so, for what use was the negotiations all about? While the executive department may have all the sincerity, if Congress does not cooperate in trying to give meaning and spirit of the negotiated law, I don't think that's putting up a real solution to a problem.
Which is very complicated matter. I don't think so that as long as ganyan pa rin ang pag-iisip natin, kailangan dito ang rethinking, creativeness. We should be very creative.